couple things real briefly, and that'll come around. So I, um, I'm just about done going through everybody's workbook. I think I got one or two left is all that have been submitted. If you haven't submitted your full workbook yet, please get that into me so that I can go through that. For virtually everybody, I don't think there's anybody yet that I've given the absolute, yeah, you're fine, you're okay. But most of the stuff is small, okay? And for those of you that are here in class, I just soon come around and let's take a look at it. And if you got something that's small, we'll get it fixed in class. Even there's some that I might have made 6 different comments, but even then, most of them are just little things that we just got to tweak a little bit or add a little bit or do a little something. So plan on that. Those of you that are distant and listening to this, just pay attention to the comments that I make, the feedback. Please look at the feedback. Again, I remind you, please do that and please address it. There'd be nothing worse than me getting to the final thing, at the end of the semester, and I'm looking through your final project and I'm looking at your financials going, oh my God, how come that's in there? How come that wasn't addressed way back at the time? So please address, those things that I do give some feedback on, and ask questions. If there's something I've put in there, ask some questions about it. But number 2, I should point out that in a number of cases, I've made comments that are as much opinion as they are, here you have to change this. There's some that you have to change because it just, fits or doesn't fit the the workbook. But sometimes I just make some comments. I might I think on Wiley's I say, maybe you're starting out a little too aggressively here on your estimates. Maybe we want to scale back the beginning or something. And that's my opinion. You don't have to make that change. That's fine. If it makes sense, go ahead. If you think it makes sense, go ahead and so kind of make sure that when you're reading my comments or my feedback, make sure that you're distinguishing between those two types of comments. One being that, yeah, this is an absolute change you got to make, and 2, this is something that he's just put out there for his opinion, and take it or leave it as you see fit. A little bit more about marketing. I said I'm just going to spend a little bit of time on this because marketing's not my. It's a big portion of your plan, not necessarily my forte. But I wanted to show this, for example, and I believe this PowerPoint is available on the content section under the marketing and whatnot. This is another outline, I think, for a marketing plan. It's similar to the one that we have. It's a lot more bare bones. It doesn't have all the commentary and whatnot. Feel free to just take a look at it. If I don't. I'm providing you guys those templates, and in the workbook, I really think that you should use those and pretty much insist on that with the Excel workbook there. But as we get into some of these other sections, there's a template there, but I don't absolutely insist that you use that template. If you think that there is something that is a little better suited to your particular plan, you can use that. And here's one example. Okay, so feel free if you want to click on that and take a look at that. It's only, I think, one page. So like I said, it's just a bare bones outline. Has similar things on it, but it might be organized a little differently. You might like the way it looks. That's fine. This one, I think you guys have on your marketing thing sort of a SWOT analysis. We could call it that. It's that grid that's on there, and you should take a look at doing that. Doing an actual SWOT analysis is fine, and I think you should include that in that's more of a narrative as opposed to just that grid. A lot of it would come off that grid. Feel free to use the grid, but you also should, and feel free to include that grid, but you also should do a SWOT analysis if you want, and I say either or, do one or the other or both of these, but you can't leave them out completely. This strategy by Porter, and it's Porter's 5 Forces, it's called. Okay, and Porter's 5 Forces just takes a little different look at it. I'll click on it, see if it'll take me there here. It's just these things here. This fits in the middle. Why they didn't put that in there, I don't have any idea. But you talk about, these 5 things in terms of your business, Do you have a supplier? Most of us have a supplier of some sort or another, or suppliers maybe. What kind of power do they have over your business, right? And there's questions basically that you go through. You read all these, and there's questions that you kind of answer. In many cases, a daycare supplier is not a big deal. You're going to go out to Walmart and pick up some stuff, and okay, so not a big deal. You don't have to spend a lot of time on that. Threat of new entrants, though, yeah, that's a big deal. Okay, well, how do you combat that then? And so it kind of asks those questions as you go down this. Threat of substitutes. Every business ought to take a look at what are potential substitutes. I told Wiley his might be online, right? Trucking, it could be other ways of transportation, maybe more railroad, maybe, people do it themselves would be a substitute, those types of things, right? So there's possibilities, things there that you want to look at, or buyer power. So the people that you're selling to, what power do they have in the transaction? People that already have kids, they're working, it's kind of limited, right? Their power, although they have a lot of competitors to look at, right? So you balance those things out, right? Lots of buyer power, right? For people looking for legal services, decent amount maybe for the trucking, right? There's lots of people out there maybe providing those types of services, so you got to look at that. And then degree of rivalry that you would have with potential competitors that are out there. It's just an alternative. I bring it up, take a look at it. I like it, but I like the SWOT too. I don't really, pass judgment. One I think is better than the other, but one might fit your particular business better than the other in terms of looking at it. And it's just a little different way to look at your competition and what's going to make you successful or not in your particular business. So feel free to use that if you choose. I don't know that I want to. Things to consider. What are you trying to accomplish in your business, right? Are you trying to generate traffic? Are you trying to get some name recognition, or a new product or service? That's important. Austin, mainly name recognition, right? You got to get your name out there. You're not going to drive traffic past your truck, right? Yours might be probably name recognition too, right? Lawyers don't typically, you're not up in the mall and trying to drive traffic into your, you're getting name recognition. Same thing probably for the daycare, right? And they call it market entry strategy here, but just market strategy. And I can't emphasize enough, choose your before you even start your marketing plan, choose how you're going to compete. And again, I give you the two basics are you're either going to differentiate or you're going to be a low-cost provider. Choose which one, because everything in your marketing plan then kind of needs to be based on whatever that market strategy is. So do that, run it by me if you want, talk about it, whatever. So some of this stuff I'm going to quit because I told you guys it wasn't going to take a lot of time, and I can come around and look at your workbooks and see where we're at. So.